Hi, my name is Warren Marshall, and I wanted to take a few minutes just to run through the Crumbling Ruins mesh set. It's not always clear what you're supposed to do with these mesh sets when you buy them, especially if you haven't been making games professionally for decades like some of us have. So this mesh set, you get the overview map like you always do with marketplace content, but I've also included a group examples map. And in this map, you have access to all the vignettes that I made to generate the screenshots that you saw in the marketplace. This will allow you to fly around and look at how I did things and how to put these meshes together to get them to look good, and just to give you a leg up on your own creations. And on top of that, there's some pre-built groups back here, and these pre-built groups are set up just to be grabbed and duplicated, and copied into your own level. And you can do whatever you need to do with these. And it just speeds you along the road of getting some useful content built, as opposed to having to find your own combinations for things. And that's it. Thanks. Hey, so to finish up, what I wanted to do was take this blank canvas and just give a quick little demonstration of how to kitbash meshes together. This is how modern games have been made for years. You make a bunch of little modular pieces, you stick them together in different configurations, and if you do it properly, the player will never realize what's going on. So, to start off, let's pull one of these columns in, and if I copy and paste that there and replace that with the column top, drag that up here, put it into place. Okay. Now I'm going to want to copy and paste that piece again, and let's just pick one of these arches up here. Let's take the broken arch because I like that one. Drag him over so he lines up correctly, and maybe up a little bit right there. And this comes in a little wide, so we can just scale that real quick. Okay, now, sorry, hotkeys, gotta love them. So, what we're going to do now is let's copy this over here to complete the arch look. And you can see that since I just copied these meshes straight over, it's obvious that I just copied them straight over because this same brick is here and the same markings are everywhere. So the simple way to hide that is just to rotate this, say 180 degrees. And now it's not so obvious anymore. And that's actually one of the biggest tricks that gets used, or one of the biggest things that makes this work, I should say. It's not a trick. You copy, scale, rotate, copy, rotate, and just keep doing that over and over again, and eventually you end up with a large environment that's filled with unique looking content, but is still cheap to render because you're reusing the same meshes over and over again. So, just for giggles, let's grab this. I'm going to pull him this way, pull him over that way. Then I'm going to select this again so I get my cursor in the center, and then spin this whole thing 180 degrees. Okay. Once I have that, let's see, what else can we do in here? Let's have a little fun with it. Let's grab one of these curved wall pieces down here. See, wall chunk 2. If I spin him, or we'll see what it looks like, and we'll just kind of position him there, push it in so the bricks are kind of overlapping and it looks connected-ish, at least. Yeah, I like that. So now you kind of have a crumbling bit there. So if I copy that mesh up here, I can swap in the other version of that mesh, which is a little more broken and adds some visual variety, variety to this, not visual verity. And I'll just drop this down a bit so the bricks will align better with the bricks on the column. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little more natural. Now to the eye, I mean, obviously these are separate meshes, but when lighting is compiled and things are put together, it's really hard to tell. So since we have some broken pieces up here and some chunks missing out of the wall, that's a good cue for us to put some rubble in the scene to help sell the fact that this kind of fell apart. So we can grab this little rubble piece. Let's say we'll put him in here. And around the back, let's say we'll... oh, I don't know. Let's take these bricks, put them over there. And maybe here, and we'll rotate them around so they look better. Pull that out to there-ish, good enough. And then we have this little rock mesh. These kinds of meshes, they look silly at first, but they are so useful. You will use these all over the place. And once you have enough of them in place, it really looks it looks cohesive, and it looks well put together. So with something like this, you could even take one of those archway pieces, the broken arch bit that we just put up there, drop it down here, rotate it 90 degrees, give it a spin this way, kind of push it over here so it's kind of embedded in the wall and kind of laying here, so it looks like maybe one of those chunks kind of fell out of the top and landed there. So with this in mind, if we rebuild the lighting on this, this should come together pretty well and look like something you might find in a video game. And by leveraging these strategies, you can see how you can make tons of different areas with the same set of meshes. And that's what I hope you'll do with this mesh set. Create lots of ruins and above ground dungeons and that kind of thing. So go forth and kitbash and have fun. Thanks. So in the 4.9 release of the engine, Epic added a really cool feature where your material could read the ambient occlusion that was computed during Lightmask compile. That sounds techy, and you don't really even need to know what it means, but what it means for you is that you can do neat effects, like this moss you see that's growing between the bricks and things. That's all a dynamic effect that's generated from the ambient occlusion, and it's entirely dependent on where light gets and where it doesn't get. If you get down here, you can see that it's really heavy, back in these cracks and behind these bricks and things, and down here in these little crevices. And when lighting is on, the effect is subtle, but it definitely helps to sell it as a cohesive whole. So, just a real quick note about how to actually turn this on. When you start a new project, I don't believe these settings are turned on, but if you go into Settings, World Settings, scroll down to your Light Mask section, and right here you see these two ambient occlusion flags have to be turned on. And once they're turned on, you can control how strong this moss effect gets by tweaking the occlusion exponent. Now I'll show you real quick here what happens. So the occlusion exponent, what is the default value? 1. Okay. So we'll compile lighting with that exponent set to 1, and you'll see what that means. Effectively what happens is the lower that exponent is, the more the moss spreads out and covers everything. Now I'm pretty sure that 1 is going to be far too strong, but that's good for demonstration purposes. So you can see now that it's come out of the shadows, it's crawling all over everything, on the chains and all that jazz. Now if you want that effect, that's great, but I tend to want something a little more subtle. Like, it's even stronger if you can see it now when the lighting is on. So let's, just for fun, we'll turn this, where is it again? We'll turn this up to, say, an exponent of 10 and rebuild lighting, and we'll take a look at the difference. What you'll see with an exponent of 10 is pretty much what we had before. It's pushed back into the cracks and recesses much more, and the forward-facing polygons, the ones that catch all the light, are just the natural texture, right? See, and there you go. And and if you don't want that effect at all, you can just turn off. You can just turn off the ambient occlusion in the world settings and rebuild, and you'll see when this comes up that this moss effect just completely vanishes. Now in a second, when this gets done, I'll show you. Yeah, you can see now it's gone totally, and everything just looks plain and blank. The other way you can turn that off, let's say your project wanted to use ambient occlusion, which is not unreasonable. There's a master material that comes with this pack, and inside the master material, it's on the wrong screen, hang on. Inside this master material, you'll see up here, this is where this is happening. You're taking the pre-computed AO mask and multiplying it in, and there's a switch in here that you can switch to false by default, if you don't want that effect at all. And there's also parameters in here. You can make material instances off of these where you can change the moss to something else like sand or whatever you wanted for your level. And that's it. I just wanted you to know how that feature works.